story time about how this girl and I were dating the same guy at the same time. So a little background information. I was 16 and a junior in high school. Well, I had been talking to this boy, and we are going to call him Tyler. Him and I had talked for about 3 months, and we did everything that couples would do without the labels. Well, everything was super good the first month. It was almost like our honeymoon phase. Well, then that quickly ended the second month. He had took a picture of me on Snapchat and sent it to one of his friends. Well, they ended up Snapchatting him back right away, and when I looked at the name, it said Bailey. To make things worse, this girl, Bailey, was #1 on his best friends list on Snapchat. By the way, I did not have Snapchat. At this time, I thought it was the most useless app ever made. Well, the fact that she was #1 on his best friends list was very concerning. Now, I know you're probably wondering why that's concerning. Well, Tyler would Snapchat his friends all day, every day. So you would think that one of his guy friends would be #1. But no, somehow this girl was. It just was not adding up. So I asked if it was Bailey merch, and he was like, no, I would never do that. Like, my best friend used to mess around with that girl. So then I was like, okay, then who the hell is this girl? Like, come on. It ain't that hard. And he said that it was some girl named Bailey Moore. Like, I wonder if guys just think that we're stupid. Like, why would you just, like, change 2 letters in the last name? But okay. By the way, I am literally reading this story time for the first time with you guys. So, to be honest, I don't know if it's really a different girl or not. I don't know. And because I'm just dumb, I paid no attention to the fact that this is possibly her and he changed the name. Because I did know who Bailey Murch was, and so did everybody else, because a rumor went around saying that she slept with some girl's boyfriend. So I decided not to press the issue anymore and focus on the good, because we were both leaving for spring break in 2 days. Well, I went to Texas like a week before he went to Florida, and we talked the entire time and everything was going absolutely perfect. Except for the last 2 days. 2 days before I had left Texas, Tyler went down to Florida. And I didn't hear one word from him his whole entire trip, which was super weird considering the fact that we talked my whole entire trip. But I just ended up leaving it alone because I just wanted him to have fun on his vacation instead of worrying about fighting with me. How sweet of me. Well, when I was on my vacation, he had told me that he wanted me to come and meet his mom whenever we were both back in town. And I was super excited because I always heard great things about his mom, and it made me feel a little bit more closer to him. Well, then he also promised one of his friends that he would go to prom with them once he got back. So I did a little digging to find out who this person was that he was going to prom with, and it turns out that it is the same Bailey girl that was on his Snapchat. What a surprise. So I texted him because I just wanted to make sure. So I texted him asking who he was going to prom with, and he said Bailey Moore. And the reason why I texted him is because I wanted to make sure before I made a big deal about this that that was actually who it was about. So we don't want to look crazy for no reason. So at that point, I just left him on red because I knew that something was up at this point. Well, then he finally calls me later trying to ask me what's wrong. And I told him nothing, but he just kept asking. And that was pretty much the only time that we had talked while he was in Florida, because he decided that he was not going to talk to me until he got back. And the first day he was back, he decided that he was going to go to a party with some friends and get wasted. Then he spent the second day at the racetrack with his mom. So at this point, I was just really mad because he had not been responding to me. He just didn't seem like he wanted to talk to me. So I texted him and I was like, listen, you need to let me know if this is what you want, or because I'm not going to put in time and energy to somebody who's going to treat me like this or doesn't want to be with me. So then he texts me back and he's like, no, like, I love you. I want to be with you. Things have just been stressing me out a lot lately. So once again, like the idiot I am, I decide to forgive him for the time being. Well, we decided to go out for a movie later that night. Well, during the movie, I just kept getting this feeling that I really couldn't shake, that things really weren't good with us at all. So after the movie, I decided to ask him one more time about this girl, Bailey Moore, hoping to either get the truth out of him or just know more about her, to be honest. Because it's weird having some random girl go with your boyfriend to a different school to prom. But yet again, all I got was, I promise, she's just a friend. I'm only going with her so that way I can hang out with my buddy Mitchell, who was one of his friends. from the same town that she was from, apparently. So the movie was on Sunday night, and we were done, I guess, fighting after that. And we were doing all good throughout the week. Well, when Friday rolled around, he decided that he wanted to go and get drunk with his friends again instead of hang out with his girlfriend. I mean, the girl that he was talking to. Well, that Saturday, he decides that he wants to go out again with his friends and party. So at that point, I just decided that I would do the same thing. I would get drunk with my friends and just hang out with them. Well, that night I decided to drive home, and I guess my parents could smell the alcohol, or they must have seen me stumbling up the driveway, because they did not buy the story of, oh, I smell like alcohol because I drove my friends home. Sunday morning, they took my keys and my phone and told me I was grounded, and that if I wanted to talk to Tyler, I had to get him to call one of their phones. So I had texted Tyler off of my phone before I gave it to them and said, hey, if you want to talk, like, you have to call me off my parents' phone because I am grounded. So he was like, okay, like, I'll try to call you at least once. I'm super busy. And one more thing, to make it worse, my parents had went through my phone and they saw that I was sexually active and that I had just taken a Plan B, like, not too long ago. Well, that made my dad go absolutely insane, so he decided to put me in an online class that was run out of the hotel that he was currently working at. Well, after that week, he must have felt bad for me, the fact that my boyfriend hadn't called the whole time, so he let me call Tyler. And he told me that I had at most 20 minutes to talk to Tyler. So I called Tyler and I was like really rude to him on the phone, low-key, but he deserved it. I was like, you're so rude. I deserve better than this. You haven't called the whole entire time. So then he tried to flip the whole situation on me, acting like he was the one with no phone to call me. He eventually apologized and said that he was scared to make my grounding worse. So that's when he decided that he just thought it was better if he didn't call at all. But then he was like, I still love you and still want to be with you, blah, blah, blah. So this time I told him, I don't believe you. You need to pick me or the BS. Well, then his response was, I don't think I'm ready to be what you need. I'm just not mentally there and I don't really want to do this to you. I've realized where I went wrong and I'm sorry. I just hope you can forgive me. So I just told him that I knew this was coming and that I just needed to hear it from him. And then he literally snaps me back saying, we can still be friends, right? I just don't think we can go beyond that because I don't want you getting hurt. Like, oh my god, thank you. How kind of you. So then I was like, I don't need you out of everyone feeling bad for me. Not to mention, I don't even need you at all. Like, how is us being friends going to make me feel better at all? It's not. It's really just not. Well, then he said that it would make him feel better because he still cared about me and he still wanted me to be his friend and be around. Like, sis, stop making this about you. So then I asked him, what was the problem? Because, like, did this all start over the fact that I didn't text you back earlier after I got mad? And he goes, I don't know. It's just been really hard lately. I've been struggling with a lot of things. Yet he keeps saying this and he's not even explaining what the problem is. So then I was like, okay, so basically nothing's changed. You don't want to tell me what's wrong, like... So then I just told him, all right, well, I'm here if you need to talk, which I think was more than generous of me. And then he said, the absolute worst thing that you could ever say to somebody when you're breaking up with them, it's not you, it's me. I just wasn't ready for someone as great as you to come into my life yet. Okay, sis. Then he proceeded to apologize over like 100 times. And that he didn't know how he could lose me or, you know, stop thinking about me because I was so addictive for him. And then at the end, I told him, you know what, it's my fault. Like, I thought you wanted this, but clearly you didn't. So then I made him promise that he would never do this to another girl again. Then he said something like, I promise, and when I'm ready for you, I'll let you know. But until then, don't wait up for me. So then at that point, I just left him on red because I was tired of it. Well, then 2 days later, I get a bunch of videos from a private story, and it just happened to be Tyler's. Well, then I had found out that Tyler put all of my friends into a private story because clearly he wanted me to know that he moved on, knowing that they would send the stories to me. And these stories are of him with this Bailey girl. The Bailey who literally he said, oh, she got with my friend, I would never do that. Yeah, that one. And then it's captioned, one and only. Okay, sis. So I was laughing hysterically, kind of like in a crazy way and an angry way and an actual it was funny way. If you know, then you know. And then one of Tyler's friends who had gotten with Bailey texted me saying that Tyler had been staying at her house the past 6 weeks. So the whole time that we were dating, not the whole time, but half of the time that we were dating. So then I decided to message her and tell her what kind of person Tyler was and that we were dating the same guy at the same time. She was super sweet and everything, but unfortunately she still made the mistake of staying with him and being involved with him.